Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to West Coast Bryggeri once again in Gothenburg, or Göteborg as you would say in Swedish. And this is a brewery I've been impressed with because they are quite young, but the quality beer they're producing is pretty damn good. So for this one we are going to try their blonde ale, which comes in at 7% ABV. It's a Belgian style blonde ale apparently. It was rated 77 overall on Rate Beer and 90 within the style, so definitely looking forward to this one. This is the first beer on the lighter end of the beer scale that I've had from these guys too. The other ones were both porters, if I remember correctly. One Imperial Porter, maybe an Imperial Stout, I can't remember, the Handshake that they did with All In Brewing, and I also tried their Baltic Porter as well, but both were really nice, so I'm interested to see how one of their lighter beers comes across. It's always a good idea when you're trying a brewery, try something from the light side and try something from the dark, and that gives you a good idea of how their kind of brewing scale actually goes. So really looking forward to this one, and I hope you guys enjoy the review. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews and my other reviews that I've done from West Coast Bryggeri. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially the ones from Sweden that I may not have heard of, because I'm always discovering new things from over here. But it's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is always hugely appreciated. So don't hesitate to get in touch through the Facebook, Twitter, Untappd, and all of these things. Always great to hear from you guys. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about West Coast Bryggeri then. So as I mentioned to you, these guys are based in Gothenburg, and they were founded back in spring 2014 by Englishman Dave Barrett, who apparently has been homebrewing since his days in university. But Dave apparently worked in many different industries, and he actually travelled quite a lot, but later on he decided that he wanted to found his own company in Sweden to be close to his family. I'm sure the article that I read on this brewery initially said that Dave actually married a Swedish woman. And that's the case with a lot of other Europeans that move over to Sweden. Of course, they do tend to marry Swedish women for obvious reasons, I guess. But it's the same case with him as far as I remember. But he actually has a very large brewery that's capable of brewing 4,000 litres of beers per day. He uses a Chinese brew kit to do this, of course. But since this brewery has a very large capacity that he probably wasn't going to use himself, he actually did a deal with All In Brewing, who were based mainly down at Brewski in Helsingborg for quite some time, and produced some very nice beers incidentally. But you can see the All In influence kind of rubbing off on this brewery, and like I've said in my other reviews, I'm very impressed with the quality of beer that these guys can produce when they are so young. The first beer I tried from these guys was actually in, I think it was very early 2016 or late 2015 that I tried some of their beers, and as I say, the Baltic Porter was really nice, and the Handshake that they did with All In Brewing was really quite good as well. So definitely looking forward to trying this one. They do have quite a big sortie of beers these days. They've got about 8 or 10 of them. You can check out the brewery website and see all those. Do follow them on Facebook as well, and you'll get kept up to date. They do quite a few collaborations with All In Brewing and various other breweries around the Gothenburg area. Gothenburg, of course, is a huge beer city in Sweden these days. Maybe actually catching up to Copenhagen. Who knows? But yeah, really interesting brewery this one, so do make sure you try some of their beers. If you want to try some Gothenburg beers, then West Coast Bryggeri is a good place to start, along with All In, Bearded Rabbit, and many more. Of course, there's a lot of breweries up there these days. But I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. As I said, this one is a 7% blonde ale, Belgian style blonde ale. It's got all of these All In beers, by the way, have this kind of distinctive style of artwork. They've got this almost painted thing. The writing on them is all just different colours. There's a plain white bottle cap on this one, and there you can see at the top West Coast Bryggeri on this one. So yeah, it says on the back here, West Coast Bryggeri, a Swedish craft brewery based in Gothenburg, aiming to make a range of true to style beers and some more unusual beers too. We're a family owned with an English-Swedish heritage and really focus on quality. West Coast Blonde is a classic strong Belgian style beer, very complex in character, leaving behind a spicy, fruity and alcoholic perfume. It has a mild bitterness and a light hop flavour from traditional European hops, and it has a wee kind of, tells you a little bit about the colour and the serving temperature and things like that on this one. So this one I think should be about 8 or 9 degrees, so it's 1 or 2 degrees lower than they would want it to be. It says serve at 9 to 10 degrees here, but yeah, it should be really quite nice, this one. So without further ado, we'll get it open and get on with the tasting then. Looking forward to this one. Oh, and I've just noticed actually, they actually have the waves on the cap of this one. You just can't really see it. It must have faded a little bit. I thought it was a plain white cap, so my apologies for telling you lies. There we are. I managed to save that quite well, I have to admit. That's one of the problems when you use Belgian yeast. It can go a little bit crazy when the beer's been sitting in the bottle for a little while. But we can live with that. That sometimes just happens when you're a beer reviewer. So yeah, there's still a little bit of sediment visible in the bottom of this one, but we'll take a look at the aroma of it. The yeast shouldn't change the aroma too much, but we'll do sort of two kind of separate tastings of this one and see how we get on. But as you can see, and as you'd expect from a blonde ale, this one's poured a really nice, bright, slightly orange, amber yellow colour. There's a solid finger of a frothy, but kind of bumpy white head as well with this one, but it looks kind of exactly as you'd expect a blonde beer to. It's quite highly carbonated, which again is something that tends to happen if you use a Belgian yeast strain. Like I said, this one is supposed to be a Belgian blonde beer rather than a kind of straight up blonde ale. But if I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see there is a little bit of transparency to it, but mainly the beer is quite opaque, but a very, very nice looking beer. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then. Yeah. Straight up, the first thing you're going to notice from this beer is the Belgian yeast strain. You're going to notice that straight away. So it's got this big, doughy, bready, kind of yeasty sort of thing going on with it. There's a little bit of banana in there, of course. You can pick up maybe a little bit of a peppery spice or sort of cloves coming out of the beer as well. But yeah, big bready, yeasty character. There's maybe a little bit of a sort of biscuity, caramelly banana thing in there. Yeah, I think there's a bit of biscuity, kind of caramel character coming out of this beer as well. But other than that, you do have a little bit of a sort of kind of grassy and floral hop. There's a little bit of the citrusy character, and of course these are all things that you expect of this beer style. With the aroma, it's kind of everything you'd expect. It really just kind of fits into that Belgian blonde ale style really quite nicely. So everything that you'd expect in this one from the blonde ale. For me, the aroma has a quite good balance between the big bready, yeasty characters and some of the nice grassy hops and things like that as well. It's got a good balance between hoppy and the sort of yeasty side of things as well. So yeah, let's get stuck into this beer then and see how we get on. So this one is the blonde from West Coast Bryggeri up in Göteborg here in Sweden. Skål! That's actually pretty nice. I can see, I mean, straight off from the taste of this one, you can see why it has the rating it does on Rate Beer. It's because it's not quite as high in alcohol, I think. I remember I've had some blonde ales from Belgium that are like 8-9%. This one has just it has a different mouthfeel from the Belgian ones, and of course that's something you're going to get with beers just when they're brewed in different countries. Usually the water and the hardness and the softness of the water can play a role. Now I find Swedish water tends to be a little bit hard. It's got more minerals in it, and you can taste that. Maybe that's just the difference with the beer that in Sweden than in comparison to Belgium. But for me, the rating that it has within the Belgian blonde ale style, of course, is pretty right. This is a very strong Belgian blonde ale. The thing I'd say about this one is that it's not going to kind of blow your head in terms of hoppiness or yeastiness or anything like that. This one is more of a very kind of well balanced beer, and that was the thing I found with the other ones as well. The dark beers did tend to have some quite strong flavours in them, but they were very, very well balanced. This one's a nice kind of easy drinking beer where everything blends together. The other ones did have elements that kind of jumped out at you a little bit, but not too much, and this one kind of seems to follow in that regard. This one is leaning towards the yeasty kind of bready side of things, and that's obviously why they've chosen to do the blonde ale in the Belgian style. They obviously quite like those sort of big bready yeasty flavours. It's the characteristic of the style, of course. But this one, it is, you know, it's very straight up, it's very smooth. I like the mouthfeel that it has. It does have a bit of a wet mouthfeel to it, and you can taste in the water some of the minerals. And that's something I'm used to, of course, with the Scottish water and whiskies and stuff like that. The water really can make such a big impact on the flavour of the beer. There are beer tubers and some beer reviewers and things who argue against that, but you know, from my studies of chemistry and biology and physics and things like that, it's wrong. You know, water does impact the taste. But this is good. If you like your Belgian blonde ales to sort of lean towards this yeasty kind of thing, but also to have a nice drinkable feel, then you will enjoy this one. The water, I do think it's the water and just the way the water comes across that makes this one quite drinkable. But on to the actual flavour. I've been rabbiting on about other things. But this is nice. You know, the malt base, it's kind of, this beer is sort of exactly what you'd expect. It just feels a little bit different, and that's what makes it unique. So in the middle of your palate, you've got a nice big bready kind of doughy yeast thing. I'm getting quite a little bit of sort of banana flavour from this one. The yeasty character on this one, it just has a little bit of sharpness to it. There's almost, the banana flavour just has a little bit of sharpness there, and it's kind of mixing with the slightly citric character in there as well. So yeah, you've got bready, yeasty character. There's a bit of, as you move into the aftertaste, there's more of a clovey and sort of peppery spice coming out of this beer. It really is quite nicely done in that regard. On the hoppy side of things, there's a bit of I think it's a bit herbal in the back corners of the palate, and as you come further forward, it gets a little bit kind of more bitter and grassy, but I definitely think herbal in the back corner of the palate. Grassy and floral around the front corners, but then as you go around the front curve of the tongue, it's a bit lighter and just that little bit grassier. And if you just go behind the front curve of the palate there, that's where you get these little fruity esters, and it's quite a sharp, maybe not quite sharp straight up lemon, but there is an element of lemony citrus to this one. But yeah, it's nice. There's almost just a wee teeny bit. I'm getting a little bit of a kind of slightly reddish fruit from this one, but that's very, very minimal. It's just at the very start of the aftertaste. It starts off with a sharp lemon and it just kind of smooths out, and there's almost a little bit of this slightly candied red fruitish ester to this one. It's quite interesting. It's not quite strawberry or anything like that, it's just a little red candied fruit ester that comes out of this one. But it's really quite a nicely done beer, this. I have to say, it has everything you expect at the style, but the mouthfeel is just a little bit different, and that's what makes it distinctive. There's not too many Belgian blonde ales, as far as I can remember, are actually brewed in Sweden. I don't think I've actually reviewed any other Belgian style blonde ales. I have reviewed a couple of Belgian ones, but I don't think a blonde beer, right enough, from Sweden. But yeah, it's a nice beer, this one. It's got a good balance between the I want to say the malt base, but the yeasty characteristics of the beer and the hoppiness. It's really just well balanced, and the wet mouthfeel it has is nice. So in terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I'd say it's mid-bodied. Carbonation on this one is kind of moderate, it's in the middle ground. It's got a little bit of oily character to it, but other than that, you know, it is actually quite smooth. The mineral character in the water of this one, I think, gives it a nice, slightly wet mouthfeel. The malt base is fairly smooth. I think it's mainly sort of wheaty malts that are in there. The yeast, the esters, the sort of yeasty, I'm not sure if it's, I can't remember if it's esters that come out from the yeast, but the nice yeasty characteristics in this beer have a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of sharpness to them, and a wee bit of spicy character there, but overall it makes it quite smooth and well balanced. There's a little bit of dry bitter character from the hops, and there's also a wee bit of sharpness from the fruit in there as well. But the main point of this review is that it's another really solid beer from West Coast Bryggeri. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I'd love to try it on tap actually, and just see what being on a keg or on cask would actually do to the mouthfeel of this one, and to the yeasty flavours that it has as well. But for me, it's a really quite solid beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. If you enjoy Belgian blonde ales that lean towards the yeasty side of things, but you want it just to be a little bit more drinkable, then that's the kind of beer that this one is. That's when it's really going to hit the spot for you. So yeah, another really nice beer from West Coast Bryggeri. I need to try one of their IPAs or something like that, and just see another style of beer that they do. So I'll have a look on the website on Systembolaget and see what I can get from these guys. But for me, another really quite good beer from these guys. So I certainly won't hesitate to drink more of them. So yeah, until the next time, Slange just now, thank you for watching my beer reviews. As always, if you have tried this beer yourself, let me know your own thoughts on it in the comment section below. It's always interesting to hear from you. So until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. If you enjoy Belgian blonde ales, definitely check this one out. And if you want to get into Gothenburg beers, West Coast Bryggeri, along with All In Brewing, who are kind of their partners. These are two breweries that are really worthwhile starting at. There's some really good stuff in Gothenburg overall these days. So yeah, until the next time, Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Blonde from West Coast Bryggeri in Göteborg here in Sweden. Skål!